Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chicago Fire Season 13 Episode 10 Recap. Severide investigates Cruz's crimes. Chicago Fire is in full swing. There was some scheduling confusion last week and a slight delay, but the show is off to the races with a thrilling new episode and a crossover set for the end of the month. There's a lot to address in Chaos Theory, from Stella Kidd's absence to Joe Cruz's fate after what happened in the winter premiere. Cruz has a lot to clean up in the episode's opening moments. He drives to his brother's house and gets stitched up after he got shot in the winter premiere. Cruz's gut reaction was to go to the police, but his brother insisted that he keep it under wraps, as he fears gang retaliation. Leon's ties to the Insane Kings was what got Cruz involved in this mess in the first place. Cruz agrees, but it does prove to be a wise decision. Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney, is put in charge of the investigation, and we all know how good the lieutenant is at his job. Cruz is a nervous wreck for a good chunk of the episode, as evidenced by his decision to lash out at Herman, David Eigenberg. In Season 1, Cruz decided to let gang leader Flacco, Jose Antonio Barcia, die in a building fire after the leader threatened to kill his brother. Flacco's cousin, Junior, was the one who resurfaced, and made it clear that he would ruin Cruz's career by revealing what he did. It doesn't take long for Cruz to cave. He goes to Severide and confesses. Severide, being the friend and sometimes rule-bender that he is, assures Cruz that he has nothing to worry about. There isn't concrete evidence. The firefighter is still racked with guilt, though. Cruz decides to pay a visit to PD veteran Kevin Atwater, Leroyce Hawkins, and confess to what happened in Season 1, but yet again he was cleared. Chaos Theory ended on a somber, albeit relieving note. The fact that there was no evidence to convict Cruz meant the character was cleared of any wrongdoing. He was, however, suspended for 2 weeks without pay as a sort of slap on the wrist. It's a pretty fair punishment, given that he felt his life and career were over at the beginning of the episode. The episode included some non-Cruz story beats, like the return of Stella Kidd, Miranda Ray Mayo, and her heartwarming subplot to help a school teacher, as well as some signs that Sam Carver, Jake Lockett, and Violet, Hanako Greensmith, might be heating up again. Cruz was always going to be the main focus though, and we got what we wanted. Next week is the crossover. One Chicago crossover promo reveals which characters are in danger. One Chicago crossover time is here. The franchise has been building up to the crossover event all season, and really for the last 6 years. We are absolutely thrilled to see how all the pieces from the different shows align, and how Med, PD, and Fire managed to save the day. The One Chicago actors have done a good job of keeping the spoilers for the crossover under wraps, but the promo for the event has finally been released, and we have some major revelations about who is in danger and who is emotionally devastated. The logline for the crossover confirmed that 2 characters from the 3 One Chicago shows would be put in danger. So much danger that the teams around them would be forced to come together and ensure they make it out alive. Now that the promo is out, we can confirm that the characters in question are Fire's Stella Kidd, Miranda Ray Mayo, and Chicago PD's Adam Ruzek, Patrick John Pfluger. The promo shows both characters below ground, trying to help civilians exit an L train after a building explosion causes massive damage. Then it cuts to Chief Dom Pascal, Dermot Mulroney, saying that the Foundation is about to give way. Sure enough, the Foundation does, and Kidd and Ruzek are stuck underground with the people they were trying to save. Kidd's husband, Kelly Severide, Taylor Kinney, is devastated by what occurs, and he has a heated exchange with PD's Hank Voigt, Jason Begg, as a result. Kidd and Ruzek appear to have cooler heads underground, but they don't really have a choice, especially as oxygen becomes increasingly sparse. They're running out of air, Kidd tells Ruzek at one point. The promo ends with Chief Pascal asking if Kidd reads him, only to get no response. It's a heart-pounding scene, and one that we cannot wait to see in its entirety. Patrick John Pfluger alluded to scenes with Miranda Ray Mayo in a recent TV Insider interview. Getting to finally actually act with her, he noted, which I've never done before, and if we have, it's been with a lot of people around, so to do a little one-on-one with her was really fun. What we didn't know at the time was that Pfluger would be alluding to some of the most tense scenes in the entire crossover. Chicago Fire didn't release a promo for next week, and fans are baffled. Chicago Fire really dropped a bomb on viewers with its season 13 winter premiere. The episode largely revolved around Cruz, Joe Minoso, and the messy situation he was pulled into with ex-convict Junior Polenko, Richard Cabral. The episode took an absolutely devastating turn in its final moments, as Joe Cruz was pulled into a shootout involving Junior and another ex-con. The firefighter was shot in the arm, and while he was able to escape with his life, he was not in good shape. He broke down in tears, and the episode closed out. And we mean closed out. Chicago Fire did not even air a promo teasing the resolution of Cruz's story next week. This is highly irregular. For one, Chicago has just returned from its winter hiatus, so we know that new episodes will be airing in consecutive weeks. For another, Chicago Med had a promo for its next episode, right before Chicago Fire premiered. What gives? Well, NBC did not give a specific answer for its decision to withhold a promo, but there is context that may prove helpful. There are currently wildfires causing devastating damage to Los Angeles. Over 100,000 were forced to evacuate their homes in the wake of these fires, and as such, networks with firefighting dramas are being extra cautious about their content. CBS, for example, decided to postpone the release of a Fire Country rerun on Friday, January 10. The network pulled the episode and replaced it with an episode of NCIS Sydney, according to Deadline. It makes sense that the network would not want to hit too close to home for Los Angeles-based fans, especially since there does not appear to be an end to the wildfires in sight. NBC was put in an even trickier spot heading into Wednesday night. Instead of a rerun, the network was releasing the mid-season premiere of Chicago Fire, which is one of their most popular shows. It would have been a very last-minute decision to pull Fire from the Wednesday night lineup, especially since it's packaged with Chicago Med and Chicago PD. It's possible that NBC decided to pull the promo for next week's episode out of respect for what's currently happening in Los Angeles. Now is not really the time to drum up excitement for a plot that will almost certainly involve a deadly fire. As of right now, however, Chicago Fire will be airing a new episode on Wednesday, January 15. Chicago Fire is on break tonight, but here's what to expect in episode 10. Chicago Fire has been confusing fans over the last 2 weeks. It returned along with the rest of the One Chicago franchise on January 8, but some noticed that it did not include a promo for the next episode. Chicago Med and PD did, which led to some confusion as to whether it would be returning for another episode on January 15. Well, there is no new episode of Chicago Fire tonight. There was actually supposed to be, but NBC is airing Joe Biden's farewell speech at 8 p.m. ET. The speech will only last 15 minutes, but the fact that it cuts into the One Chicago lineup means that all 3 episodes are being pushed back to next week, January 22. NBC has not provided a reason as to why a Chicago Fire promo didn't air on January 8, since there was meant to be a new episode this week, but it's assumed that this was done out of respect for the wildfires that are currently impacting Los Angeles. CBS even decided to pull its return of Fire Country, for fear it would be triggering to viewers. We don't have a promo, but we do have information on what will be happening in the upcoming Chicago Fire episode, Chaos Theory. We have promo photos, as well as a synopsis on what seems to be one of the most important episodes of Season 13. The team responds to a crisis at a community center. The synopsis reads, Severide is forced to investigate one of his own squad members. Ked helps a teacher going through a post-incident spin-out. The squad member being referenced is, of course, Joe Cruz, Joe Minoso. The firefighter ended last week's episode on a very concerning note.